Okay, good evening YouTube. Welcome to this next episode of FPL Family with me, Lee, and this is Sam. And Sam, the man here on my... here he is. There he is. He's back. Cristiano Ronaldo. Wildcarders selling him. Not owned at all in the top 100k. Bangs a hat-trick. You can't keep a good man down, can you? And I know it's against your lot, but it was a good hat-trick.
Only his second ever for Manchester United.
Is that right? Only his second ever?
Other one was 14 years ago.
Mental.
Bruno weren't playing though, was he?
But now the GOAT, right? Now he is officially the GOAT. That is the most anyone has ever scored in their professional career. Somebody in the chat is going to tell me exactly how many goals that is in a minute. And someone else is going to tell me in the chat who he overtook. Some random player that I saw on Twitter that he's just overtaken. I've never even heard of this player. But now he is the player that scored the most professional goals in his career. So he's the GOAT. You can't... That is it. He's done.
Can only play when Bruno doesn't play though.
What's up there? What's up there? No Bruno and suddenly Ronaldo comes alive. I mean, what the hell?
I do think it's just to do with how they play. And they're just better suited to teams without each other.
Don't know.
They're just better suited to teams when the other one's not there. That's
I love that. By the way, in the chat, so I said, how many goals has he scored? We've got, it's a bit of an auction at the moment, Sam. We've got somebody saying, so...
Higher, lower, higher,
yeah, well, it's a bit like that. Aero is saying 805, Saeed 807. We've got an 806. We've got Raheem Khan in with 802. So Josh is saying 807. So I don't know. 807 seems to be the consensus.
They debated this on the actual TV yesterday.
So Sky didn't even know.
Because they were saying that you have to go with the... Oh, no, I'm going to get it the wrong way around. FIFA have one. And that's the one that you trust. Because actually he probably has scored other goals. But if they came in like matches that FIFA didn't recognise, they don't count.
Friendlies and stuff?
Yes, they count. But if it was a friendly that wasn't recognised by FIFA, then it wouldn't have counted.
What about Europa Conference goals?
Oh, shut up.
I'm just saying, do we count that as a real competition? Is that a real competition?
I mean, yes, it's a real he's not the best because he has never scored.
In the Europa Conference.
So,
until you've scored in the Europa Conference.
Who are you until you've scored
and
in the
incidentally,
conference?
Sam, there's a question I got on Twitter just as I was coming on. Are you as a Spurs fan looking forward to the Europa Conference?
Yes.
I tried to do that with a straight face.
Yes. I'll be delighted to play in the Jaffa Cakes again.
You love a Jaffa Cakes. You love the Jaffa Cakes.
I don't understand the problem with it. I love it. It's a nice bit of silverware. What's not to like?
Oh dear, more on Spurs later on because I just honestly I don't know what happened in that game. What a good game from a neutral perspective.
I do. Win, lose, win. Have you seen our record? Lose, win, lose, win, lose, win.
Very.
Lose. You know what's going to happen on Wednesday?
You're going to win.
We're going to win.
I hope you are, Sam. I hope you are. As a Kane captainer this week, I hope that you are. And one of the common themes that I think we're going to get throughout this live stream is, for those of you that saw my team, I played my wildcard this week. I wildcarded game week 29. And a lot of my wildcard was to not just maximise what's going on in 29. Is that tea hot?
Yeah.
Tea tends to be hot. Yeah. What's going on? You burnt your finger?
A little bit.
Right. Do you need to run it under the tap, or are you okay? Are you going to survive?
It's just that the handle.
Yes.
Was on the left.
Right. Okay.
And I needed it on the right, so I had to hold it by the, and then it was a little bit hot.
Okay. Again, good feature for the podcasters. This. Welcome, podcasters.
It's all right now, but.
Good to see you.
So it's on the right side, so now I can put it up and down.
Excellent. All
Sorry
right.
about that,
I've lost my train of thought. Wildcard in game week 29 was not just to make the most of game week 29, but it was to plan ahead and try and muddle through game week 30 without using a free hit. But everyone's got injured. I've had, 8 Nori didn't play for a start, and I had him on my bench this week, ready to come in for next week.
Who else got injured?
Ditto Hwang, right? I had Hwang on my bench, ready to come on for next week. Ditto Saka, who I bought in this week on the wildcard. Now looks as if he's injured. We've got to have a
Salah also may be injured.
Salah may be injured. We've got to talk about that. That is a key talking point. Not just for game week 30 coming up, where obviously he doesn't play in game week 30. Broya as well picked up an injury, didn't he, potentially?
Someone else as well.
So lots and lots of injuries today to key FPL assets. Now, as you say, Salah going to be one of the key talking points. I personally think he's going to be okay. I mean, don't take my word for it, but I think he sort of came off with a bit of a precaution. But if you did captain Salah this week, how do you feel? How do you feel ahead of that Arsenal game coming up? Because actually, that Brighton game looked as if Liverpool could have maybe scored a couple more goals with him on the field. I don't know. Although he wasn't having a particularly good game. And we'll talk about his game. We'll talk about how Liverpool approached that game a bit later on. But as a Kane captainer, I don't feel too bad. I don't feel in too bad a position. I feel like Kane's got the better of his 2 games to come now against Brighton, and Salah's got the harder of his 2 games to come. So how are you feeling as a Salah captain? Are you feeling up or down, or how are you feeling? Not sure.
He's the Egyptian king.
Oh yeah, I know, but he could be injured as well. That's the other thing. Could be.
Yeah, could be. Well, look. I can't be worrying about if Salah's injured. If I worry about if Salah's injured, I'll be not sleeping till Wednesday.
I know.
So
I know.
I'm just going to let it be.
And as Diane says, Creswell as well. Creswell.
There you go. I knew there was another one. And there was I'm sure there was another one as well.
Falling by the wayside.
Oh,
Antonio, yes. Yeah. Yes. So lots going on, guys. Lots going on in FPL from an injuries perspective. But before we get to the games, before we talk about our overall ranks, before we talk about how successful or not my wildcard was, and crucially, what we are going to do now for game week 30, what you and I are planning to do, I think we're still planning to hold the free hit chip until a later date. I certainly am.
Yeah.
But I've got the Saka thing. I've got the Hwang thing. So all of a sudden...
Yeah, but everyone's got that problem.
I was all of a sudden just prepared to roll my transfer next week, muddle through and go into 31 with 2 free transfers. Doesn't look as if I'm going to be able to do that, guys. So we'll talk about my team a bit later on. But let's get into the chat, Sam. Let's say hello to a few people first, and we've got a new member, Sam, a new member of the FPL Family YouTube channel. So welcome to the channel, Miena Sidhon. Thank you, Miena, for joining us here on the FPL Family YouTube channel. For those of you
that picked up then,
say again.
Was there not 2 that came up?
Was there 2?
Go back up a little bit more, because I had the feeling there was 2 green boxes.
Maybe. Super chat, yes, here from let's see, Shariah. Thank you for the super chat. 807. And 3 came after I sold him. Yeah, so 807 goals for Cristiano Ronaldo. But, as many will have done in FPL, sold this week before the hat-trick. I actually noticed he was 0.1% owned in the top 100k. Did you see that?
Yeah, well...
So it didn't really hurt anyone's rank if you're up in that sort of echelon.
The what now? The top 100k?
Top 100k.
What's that now?
Yeah, I know. Yes, I know. We're going to talk about your slight demise over the last couple of weeks and what you plan to do to get back up there.
Oh, don't worry about that.
You got plans?
I've got big plans.
Great plans. Big plans.
I've got big plans. Wait till Friday night. I cannot wait to hit the wildcard button and have loads of time. Loads of time.
Yeah.
What a perfect wildcard moment.
There we go.
So much time to play with it.
Well, welcome to the channel, Miena Sidhom. And for those of you that missed it last week, we have activated YouTube channel membership. So if you want to come and join us on the channel, if you just want to come and support what Sam and I do here, there's a couple of extra bits you get. Like you obviously get the little badges there, so you'll notice all of our existing members from last week have now got like their green names there. So there's Liam, a member. Hey Liam. We've got Simon Cowell's trousers, which I assume
Boyle.
Is Susan Boyle, aka Susan Boyle, aka Cyberdebt.
So, for clarity,
yes.
So I lost another bet this week.
Good. Okay, good. What did you bet on this week?
This week he bet that the Liverpool were going to lose and that Salah was going to blank. Neither of those things happened.
What sort of bet is that, by the way? Why would you bet that? Betting against the Egyptian king? He's even had an off day this week and he's got 9 points. An off day.
I mean, I don't really know, Lee. You'll have to ask Simon's Cowell trousers, won't you?
I will have to ask Simon Cowell's trousers. Yeah, so everybody that's a member, highlighted in green. So we've got a few of you guys in. Raheem Khan is here as well. How are you doing? And, oh, goodness me. So, I've got his name wrong, haven't I?
Who?
I've got Shah's name wrong. Shah's super chatted back in to say, actually, it's just Shah. Just go with Shah.
Oh, is it Shah? I speak to Shah. I had a...
Oh, there you go. You know Shah. You should have popped up.
Well, I can't see that, Lee.
Oh, right, okay,
I can just about see that people are green. Literally blind. I have to go and get some new glasses.
So listen, if you want to join us over here on the channel, become a member. You get some extra emoticons. You get your name in green. The longer you become a member, you get different colour badges, all that sort of stuff. So guys, it's mostly, if you enjoy the content, you're a regular super chatter and you want to be part of the membership of the channel, we'd love you to join us.
Sadly is with Shah, just for some clarity here. We had a Patreon call last week. Just before he free hitted, and I said, get rid of Ronaldo, get Kane. And he didn't on a free hit last week.
Oh, okay.
Decided to stick with Ronaldo. Right. Didn't go well because obviously he did nothing and Kane did bits. So this week he wildcarded where he then sold Ronaldo.
Oh, man.
God. It literally couldn't have gone
absolutely savage.
Any worse when it comes to those kind of decisions. Those 50-50s again. He's a Man United fan as well, hence why I kept Ronaldo on the free hit last week. And then this week was like, right, I've got to sell him now. Get Kane ready for the... So it wasn't the end of the world because, No. But we
said this, didn't we, on Thursday's FPL show last week, that this is a season of 50-50s. We've said this a few times now. It's if you come out the right side of the 50-50, all good. But if you don't, it really punishes you this year. It really does. We've got a few others in, Sam. So Chris Ollie is in. How are we doing, Chris? 54 points. 7 to go. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. And we've got Tips in. I know he's FPL Harry, but to me he's Tips.
He will forever be Tips to you.
He'll forever be Tips. John L is here. FPL Jeremy is here. Nice to see you guys. John Tyner. I'm on 52 so far. Very nice, John. Like the sound of that. Eduardinho took a -16 this week. The stress. Eduardinho says FPL is stressful. In fact, I saw a tweet earlier today. I can't remember who tweeted it. I think it was the Always Cheating Boys. They just said FPL is stress management. That's all it is.
Do you know what's interesting is that, and you spend so long kind of thinking about the hit and how much of a hit is worth it. Yeah. And I spent a good chunk of Friday pondering another -4. Really seriously pondering it for either Lacazette or Ivan Toney, both of which...
Oh, Tony, I was close. I was close to Tony.
Both of which would have been a good decision. But I wasn't sure I wanted to... I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I wasn't sure how I felt about the -8, but both of which I just should have done. And it's one of those, I think the more you kind of overthink it sometimes, the worse it is. Yeah, well, there we go. Hello to Carl Watson. Hi, guys. Locked in as per, whilst the wife waits for Peaky Blinders. What a show that is, by the way. You're not a Peaky Blinders fan, but I am a massive Peaky Blinders fan. I hate Sunday nights. We get off of here. Oh, straight on to Peaky Blinders. And then he's like, straight on. Oh, yes. There's no Strictly Come Dancing. Get out of it, Strictly Come Dancing. And when's Love Island back? For goodness sake. I want any of this Peaky Blinders nonsense. You'll have tips all over you on the Love Island. No, it's all nonsense. I don't like Peaky Blinders. I might go for an early night and read a book. Eduardinho, I benched Cody. Oh, I benched Cody. And I benched Ramsey, so don't worry about it. Akash is saying I benched Cody too. You guys won't be alone. Cody was benched a lot this week. I think he was benched a lot. A few of you asking how you become a member. I believe, guys, on the YouTube page you're on, there's a little button that says join. I think it's right next to the subscribe button. It says join. If you click that button, I think there's a couple of the extra bits you need to do, and it just takes you through the process of becoming a member of the channel. So click that little join button, guys. Right.
let's get on, Sam, with the show. Let's get to the game week results. Let's crack straight on with where should we go? We're not going to go through every single fixture like we normally do.
Should we do the teams that are playing next week?
Well, that is a fair comment and a fair question. And what we've tended to do on these live streams is we've tended to look immediately at the fixtures for next week. So that we can then, so that we can give our analysis and content in the context of next week. Because there are only, in case you've been living under a rock, 8 teams that play next week. There are only 4 fixtures. And those are as follows. So here are the fixtures according to the Fantasy Football Scout.
Just hit myself in the face with my hair.
Are you all right tonight?
I don't know,
What's
Lee.
going on? You've burnt yourself with tea.
I think it's because...
You hit yourself in the face. I'm not being funny. Are you okay, hon? You all right? Need some intervention. You all right? Maybe.
I don't know what's the matter with me.
I don't know either. I don't know either. It's probably the thought of playing in the Jaffa Cakes Cup next year again. It's probably that.
I mean, it could be that. It could be just because I've had a nice afternoon off. My mum cooked her tea.
Yeah, maybe you're relaxed about things.
And, the kids are already asleep.
Yeah.
And...
life's good.
Yeah, the Colts won.
All right.
What's not to love?
Oh, London Colney Colts, big win today, by the way.
Max pulled off a worldy save.
Good, wasn't he?
Yeah. I might send him down to to Spurs and he can have a chat with Hugo.
Well, I would send him up to Liverpool and get him playing for Everton at the minute. They could do with all the help they need at the minute. Everton, they are in big, big trouble, but more on them a bit later on, Sam. The teams that play next weekend, so game week 30, guys, it's Leicester versus Brentford, Spurs at home to West Ham, Wolves at home to Leeds, and then Arsenal away at Villa. I think I've got them all there, yes, because there's Leeds, West Ham, Brentford. Yes, so those are there. You can see them there in the 30 column, right? So there's only, 8 teams that play. Very difficult to navigate unless you've been preparing for
Luca Dean, also injured.
Luca Dean.
See, I tell you, there's just so many injuries. Honestly, it's silly.
Loads. So there's that as well. So only 4 teams play. If you've got the free hit and you're planning to use it in 30, we will be talking about some of the key assets from a free hit perspective. But yeah, we need to do our the analysis of game week 29 in the context of 30 because we don't have a lot of fixtures. A lot of fixtures. Just one other thing to say, guys. If anybody is not subscribed tonight, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button. Because
Lee's been having fun today.
Because I think and I hope that I've set up a little GIF.
Everyone's going to unsubscribe just to be subscribed.
Don't do that.
They'll do it just to unsubscribe and come back straight away.
If you're already subscribed, we love you, thank you. But if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button because I tried to set up this little GIF of Hyun-Min Son that comes up every time a new subscriber subscribes to the channel. I don't think I've done it right, is the reality.
Oh, for God's sake.
I'm pretty sure I've messed it up. However, if I haven't and it works, I will be very happy. So if anybody is not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button because I want to see if my GIF works. Right, let's get back onto the game.
Will it only work if you're on a certain screen when they do it?
What do you mean?
Like, as in, will it work on every screen of the?
Yeah, I've set it up to go it should work on this.
On
this
every
screen.
one,
it
right?
should
Okay,
do.
yeah,
it should
okay,
do.
good.
And also, if you sign up as a new member, there's a GIF as well that should pop up. Now, yes, it works. Get in! I can't believe I actually am genuinely delighted that's happened. Delighted that has happened.
I mean, I did enjoy
it
seeing
works.
Sonny.
I can't believe that's worked. I never get the technology right. It always goes wrong, and that's worked. I'm well happy. Did that come through, guys, on the live stream, or did it just come through on the OBS?
Did you see it?
Did you guys see the little Son?
I mean, this is fantastic podcasting.
Oh, the podcasters are all over this.
I mean, guys,
so
basically what just happened is that a video of Son doing his goal celebration just appeared on the live stream. I think the guys could see it as well.
If you guys saw that, get in the chat and say, Lee, you're a technological genius. I genuinely am so happy that's worked. I'm so happy. Josh says he's scared Sam after death.
What the hell?
We saw it. Yes, it worked.
What was all that noise that it made? Why did it go pling?
I don't know what
the noise was. If I'm in the middle of a train of thought and somebody does that again, I'm going to throw my tea in the air.
I didn't ask for it to make a noise. Did it make a noise?
Yes, it went bing.
Yeah, but did the guys hear the noise? That's what I...
Well, probably the mic would have picked it up. Probably went bing, bing.
Well, I don't know, because I think I've got... Oh, no, I haven't got your laptop. No, your laptop is... you are a genius, yes. Yes, thank you, guys.
Call him a genius, guys. Amazing, I've got to live with him.
Yes, we saw it. Yes, you saw. Lee, you're a technological genius.
Please stop.
Yes, thank you very much.
You wait till you see what he's put if you sign up as a member.
Yeah, if you sign up as a member
It's not Son, it's someone else.
It's another celebration. If it works, I will be so happy. Yes, so there we go. New subs, get in, because
then you get to see the
little,
me every 2 minutes.
Sunny thing, and I will give it a little fist bump every time we get a new sub tonight. Right, Sam, let's get on with the games.
What were we actually talking about?
I don't know. Where were we talking about?
We were talking about Villa. What were we talking about, Villa and Everton?
Well, we were talking about we were talking about the context of the fixtures, right?
Oh, we said there was injuries, weren't we? Luca Dean and blah, blah, blah. So we'll talk about what happened this week then.
Well, why don't we then talk about Arsenal versus Aston Villa? Because Arsenal versus Villa is a game coming up in game week 30. Arsenal in great form. So again, a very professional 2-0 performance against Leicester. Aston Villa, though, continue to be a little bit Jekyll and Hyde. 2-1 defeat away at West Ham. Why don't we start with that? A game that we actually didn't watch because it wasn't on TV. Well, I don't know if it was on TV, but
no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
No, because there was another game on, right? I think Chelsea was on at 2 o'clock,
was on.
so we watched that in the UK. But a goal from your boy Ramsey, who I took out in my wild card. But a lot of people will have benched him. That's true. But West Ham,
10 points.
2-1, nice result. Aston Villa continue to frustrate when they go away from home. So how are we feeling about next game week?
Oh, sorry.
For Aston Villa assets, in particular Dina. Now we need to wait to see.
Well, come off on 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel so frustrated as a Luca Dean owner because did you keep him on your wild card, by the way?
No, I sold.
So who did you get instead?
I got Doherty. So that's not gone
so
particularly
got
well,
1 point, but he's got another game to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm incredibly frustrated with Luca Dean because he's a player that actually I didn't really want anymore from about 3 weeks ago.
He's got to be up there as one of the most frustrating buys from an FPL manager perspective, doesn't he? I mean, goodness me, he's just so frustrating.
Of all my defenders, he would have been the one I sold this week had it not been for playing next week. And it's the only reason he's still in my team is because he played next week.
Yes.
And I thought without Jared Bowen that he might get some attacking returns. Now, maybe he might have done had he stayed on the pitch for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But to see him go off injured on 10 minutes is incredibly frustrating because now I'm in a place where it's like I only had 2 defenders for next week as it was. I could have got to 3 as part of my plans for next week. But if he's not fit, I'm then in a quandary as to what you do because how many hits makes it a valuable strategy for game week 30?
So here's a question then. So game week 30, you're not going to play your free hit. What a terrible question this is.
How bad does it have to get?
How many players do you think is enough to get out to not play the free hit? Or are we that uninspired by these fixtures in game week 30?
I mean, the reality is I am a bit that uninspired because like if Luca Dean's out and Saka's out...
Yeah.
And Creswell's out, and Antonio's out.
You haven't got those two, though, have you?
No, but I'm just talking about generally speaking, who people will have these players in their teams ready for next week.
Yeah.
Like you could
Would you just go sideways? If you go Digne to Cash, could you do that? I mean, it feels a bit sideways.
I can do that, but the reality is, how valuable is it to do that? Because it's a -4. Do we really think that Matt Cash is going to get a clean sheet against Arsenal?
Well, let me ask you guys. There's a few of you in the chat answering the question already. How many are you rolling with this week? How many are you guys? Get in the chat. Let us know, or get in the comments if you're watching the replay. How many players is enough?
Well, no injuries. I would have had 10.
Yeah, but that's not how FPL rolls, right?
And that would have been fine.
Yeah.
But currently, as it stands, if there was injured as the going off suggests, then I won't have Saka and I won't have Dean. So I'll be down at 8. And then...
Where would you go with... So let's assume that Saka is going to be out game week 30.
Yeah.
And maybe he's out for a couple of game weeks after that, potentially. I don't know. I'm speculating because we don't know how bad Saka's injury is yet. Where would you...
Hey, Sonny's back! Look who's back.
I can't tell you how happy I am that's worked. Look at this smile.
It's making me so... Oh!
Another one. Yes. Thank you, Jason, for the sub.
I'm loving that you picked Son as well because look how happy he looks.
Yeah. It's like, that's why I feel happy that...
Another one!
Yes, Florian. Now, hold on a minute. I'm pretty sure some of you guys were already subbed.
Wait, now listen.
Don't unsubscribe and resubscribe because that's going to... It's going to mess it up.
Why am I not seeing Son do this in life at the moment?
Well, yeah, that's also a different question. That's actually from last season when you think about it, because it's like...
It is, just the Sean kit.
Yeah, but it's also, you can see in the background, it's the empty stadium, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's empty stadium.
I mean, it's gone mad now.
These are all coming through now. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be such a good thing. No, it's just basically just covering up the chat full time.
You need to you'll need to put it somewhere different, won't you?
I just need to... who knows?
You have to put it somewhere different.
We've got Duncan Crawford joining the YouTube channel as a member, so thank you, Duncan, for joining us. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. I get the feeling that the piece of software that I'm using in the background might be like slightly delayed.
But where is... But I want to see the other one, because Duncan's joined as a member, so the other one should have come up.
It should pop up soon. Yeah, it should pop up soon. I get the... There's like a... Right, so...
Is there a delay?
I reckon there's a bit of a delay.
So we might see the other one in a minute.
I reckon there's a bit of a delay, because when we were talking about this in earnest like 5 minutes ago, I'd like to think that everyone that wasn't subscribed was just like, oh, hit the subscribe button. So now we're getting a whole load of subscribers, which, by the way, yes, there it is. There's Mo. Get in, Mo. Yes, it works. Amazing. Duncan Crawford has become a member. Thank you, Duncan, for joining the channel.
Duncan, you've got Mo Salah.
I'm so happy that technology has worked. Do you know what I love about and I'm sure I hope you guys agree. What I love about this channel is we're mental. I'm looking at like Andy on Let's Talk, and I look at like some of the other guys on YouTube. It is so slick. It's so good.
And then it's us.
I get a gift to pop up, and I'm just like, yes, get in. Andy's got like the HD graphics all going on, and he's got the whole like, everything's like moving around, transitions. Like, I get a gift to pop up. That's me. I'm done. Mic drop. Done. Technology genius. I'm happy. Anyway, what were we discussing? I can't tell you what, we're not going off track today, aren't we?
It's you.
We're all over the place.
It's not me, it's you.
I think we need to start putting like an agenda together for this. It's like we're all over the place.
So go on. You were talking about Arsenal and Saka and how many players we're going to be all right with, and you asked the guys in the chat how many they think they're going to need for game week 30.
Well, Charlie King is saying I'll go with 8. Yasser Ali, 9 players. Wonder whether to make it 10 with a hit. Yeah, potentially. Torben is saying 9 players. Andrew Yeeson, he's got 5 right now, but that includes Saka. So maybe, Andrew, you're in free hit territory there. Who knows? But yeah.
The trouble is there's no one attractive. And this is my issue, is that if Saka's out, if Digne's out, if Antonio's out, if Creswell's out, Vardy's out, Reece James is potentially out, Bowen's out.
It's serious, isn't it?
Like, I mean, seriously now, who
hard.
you picking?
Yeah.
Like, because that's like, yes, you can free hit, but there's literally no one. So you can go Kulu, Son and Kane on a free hit. Yeah, of course you can. You can go with Laka, Martinelli and Ramsdale. Yes, of course you can. You could go Coutinho. Yes. You could go Tony, definitely. You maybe could go Christian Eriksen. But it's like...
The problem is with it now is that actually that's probably the hardest game to call next game week, right? Arsenal versus Villa. That's difficult to call.
Yeah.
So of those fixtures then, let's talk about them in isolation. Do you think, I mean, Leicester versus Brentford doesn't look too bad, but Leicester are in dire straits at the moment, aren't they? They cannot defend a corner.
I back Brentford in that game. Yeah. It was really not. I back Brentford in that game. Like, if I was to call that, I'd be like, well, having watched Leicester against Arsenal today, again without Vardy, looking a bit meh. So
what is up with them and set pieces? I mean,
don't know.
how Partey gets that, it's just like such an easy header, that first goal, and they look vulnerable from set pieces. Now Leicester did offer, I think, a little bit going forward. I noticed that Ramsdale picked up a couple of bonus points again for not just pass completion rates, but a couple of really nice saves, didn't he? So 9 points for Ramsdale owners this week. So it wasn't all Arsenal's way, right? I mean, Leicester had their moments for sure. That Harvey Barnes header first half, for example. But I'm not backing them to do loads of great stuff against Brentford at home. I think that's going to be a tricky little fixture for Leicester.
Brentford are in a moment, and I think they're in a moment partly because their key players are back from injury. You know, Tony had a long period of time out. They had Raya out for a long period of time, and it messed up their system. If you think before Raya was injured, they were playing really well. They were in a good form coming into the Premier League. Raya got injured, the whole system changed because the way they play out from the back was not working with the other goalkeeper. Now they've got the goalkeeper back, things are better. They've obviously got their front man, and they've added a creative player to the midfield. Not just any old creative player. He's not just any old creative player. It's Christian Eriksen, who we all had a bit of a concern about, you know, physically, is he okay to be the same player that he was? And what we've seen in the last couple of weeks is that, yes, he is. He's still the same creative talent that he was pre the summer. And he's made a difference because I think he's boosted Brentford, both the players and the fans. But he's also adding creativity, got his assist this time around. I would back Brentford in that game.
Okay. Let's have a quick chat about that game. Is there much more to say than what you've already said? I mean, Tony, 5 goals in 2 games now is pretty ridiculous.
It is, but I mean, all came very late. I think that's the one thing I would say. Burnley just seemed to run out of puff in the latter part of that game.
Yeah.
Burnley, they're such Jekyll and Hyde team right now, and there's no point in talking about them really because they don't play next week. But
I think their squad depth is catching up with them, though, isn't it? Or lack of is catching up with them. I mean, I think as it often does.
My intention last week, I already sort of spoke about this before, but this week I really contemplated Weghorst to either Lacazette or Tony. I wasn't really sure which way to go because both play next week, and I was more leaning to Lacazette because he had the double fixture this week.
Yes.
However, I didn't know who I bench, so I was a bit like, maybe I don't take a -4 then. Maybe I just leave Weghorst on the bench because I'm very happy to bench him and sell him for Tony next week. And I still think that's probably the move that I'll make.
Yeah.
I like Tony. He's cheaper than Weghorst. Same price as Weghorst?
Ish, yeah.
Ish, give or take. So easy move and in good form. Brentford looking creative. Leicester looking awful defensively. So, yeah, I think that's a really good move.
Okay. You get the feeling Christian Eriksen could have an assist or two against that Leicester City
and 5.5. I mean, if you are free hitting...
You could see it.
If you're free hitting next weekend...
Would you have Christian Eriksen in a free hit? Maybe.
I would.
Maybe.
If I was free hitting, I would.
Pun. Yeah, reasonable pun. Let's talk about another player that is playing next week. So, Leeds have got Wolves away. And goodness me, I haven't got a clue how Rafinha did not have a haul in this game week. In fact, I did have a look on the Fantasy Football Scout members area before coming on, and
let me guess, he was top for XG underachievers.
Yeah. Again, he seems to be right up there. And actually, the XG there's another subscriber. Thank you very much for the subscriber for the sub. Who's that? Ahmed Taha. Thank you, Ahmed.
Thank you.
So Rafinha right up there again. They're all coming in now. Look at this. It's because of the GIF, isn't it? Good old
Everyone
Sonny.
wants to see Sonny.
Good old Sonny. Again, podcast. Great podcast in this, isn't it?
Sorry.
Great for the podcast. They're enjoying it so much they can't see a thing. Top for XG underachievers, I think second week in a row is... I need to turn that sound off. Is Rafinha again. But in the Fantasy Football Scout members area, it says an XG delta of 0.72. It felt like more. I'm sure I saw on Twitter that he was up in the sort of 2 point somethings, Rafinha. But either way... A big XG underachiever, Rafinha.
Could that have been before we got the assist?
Would that
have made a difference?
Maybe. I don't think so. No, because this is XG,
right?
XG, expectation of goal, right? So, I don't know. Either way, whichever rhetoric you look at, Rafinha, maybe unlucky again to just get the 5 points and no bonus points as well. So, yeah, hit the woodwork, everything, right? But again, you've got to, despite that frustration, you've got to stick with him because he plays, right?
And he got assist. He got 5. I'm not devastated.
Can't hate on him too much, right?
I hate on Broja a bit more than I do on Rafinha this week.
Did Bamford back make a difference?
Well, he went off again at half time.
I was going to say, if it did, then he limped off again at half time, right?
Well, I mean, the goals came in the second half, so yeah. I don't think so.
Yeah, all right. But Rafinha, you're happy to keep. You've got to keep. He's playing a game, so you've got to keep.
How he's not injured.
Yeah.
So if you're not injured and you're going to play, then yeah, I'm absolutely happy.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. All right. Well, let's talk about... not much to say about Norwich other than, oh, goodness me, they're looking dead and buried, aren't they, Norwich?
Yeah.
Just can't keep clean sheets, not scoring enough goals. Pookie not really doing the business. The less said about them, the better, Sam, I would suggest. Let's talk about your game then. Man United 3, Spurs 2. And we can talk about it in the context of, not necessarily Manchester United assets because they don't play in game week 30, but the Spurs boys do. What do you make of this performance? Because it wasn't quite the Spurs that we've seen in the previous 2 games. Now, of course, Manchester United at Old Trafford, you would expect them to put up more of a fight than Leeds and Everton, particularly from what we've seen from Everton recently.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I didn't see quite the sort of gung-ho,
Did you expect to? Because I don't know.
Yeah, I know, you said it.
I felt like on Thursday, so when we went to the FPL show on Thursday evening, we sat in the green room before the show, and of course, being the resident Spurs fan in the room, everyone was asking me questions about Spurs, and I don't want to to say I was a Moany Myrtle, but I was a little bit of a Moany Myrtle because I felt like I was crushing everyone's dreams because everyone was going, oh, you know, let's get this one. And I was going, I don't know about this. I feel like what did I say? I feel like I'd go Region over Doherty. What did I do? Went Doherty over Region.
Yeah. Region had a poor game though.
But
I know he got the FPL points, but he had a poor game. I don't think Doherty was amazing, but Region.
No, but my point.
He's completely at fault for the second Ronaldo goal because he kept him on side. He just was terrible.
Yes, but my point was that actually I didn't really fancy any of the Spurs defence. The only reason I went with them is because I needed a defender for next week.
You weren't really bringing it, but listen, wild carders this week, or if you were bringing in the Doherty or indeed a Region this week, or any Spurs defender. Out of the next 3 games that you're bringing them in for, because you're bringing them in for a double and then a game, this United away game was probably the one where you had the lowest expectations.
Yes.
Brighton away next, and then I don't even know what the game is in 30. Who are you playing in 30?
West Ham.
West Ham. Okay, so that'd be difficult as well, right? But of the 3 games, Man United away, you can forgive Doherty for picking up 1 point.
Yes.
Possibly. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing for me with Spurs is that going into this week, I actually thought we played all right in this game. I didn't think we were terrible. I thought that there were some good moments. I thought there were moments where you could really see what Spurs were trying to achieve. I thought you could see the style of play that Conte was trying to put in. The first goal was frustrating because it's just a worldie from Ronaldo. Like, it's just an absolute worldie of a goal. And when someone does that against you, you kind of go, well done, that was fantastic. But,
it should be. I hate to be nitpicking because it is Spurs' style to allow low XG chances, right? And the XG of that chance, I think I was reading, was 0.02, right? So no one's expecting Ronaldo to score a 2% chance. But it is Ronaldo, so therefore you know he can do it. So you get out to him, I think. But anyway,
but that is our style of play.
Yeah,
it's our style of play that we will allow that. It was a worldie goal, nothing taken away. What was really the one that got me was the header, because we are normally pretty good defensively at things like that. But Harry's in no man's land. He's neither on the line nor marking anybody. Romero and I'm not sure who was on him. I think it was Doherty. Neither of them's actually got him. Romero sort of got him in a cuddle at first, then lets him go thinking, I think Doherty was dealing with him and he didn't. It was frustrating. Now, I think going into next week, well, obviously there's the Brighton game still to come, but going into West Ham, it's going to be really interesting because is Jarrod Bowen going to be fit and available? Is Antonio going to be fit and available? Because if they're going into that game without those two, then creativity could be an issue there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, they've got some other good players, and Yarmolenko had a great game today, from what I understand. We obviously couldn't watch that game either.
Great moment when he scored.
Great moment. And, they've got other players. Fornals, I think, got a goal today, I think. But it was... it's difficult with Spurs. I think going into this week, it'll be interesting to see what happens on Tuesday night. I think Son just needs some longer studs in his boots so he doesn't fall over every 5 minutes.
All over the place, wasn't he? What was all that about?
Put some different boots on if you can't stay on your feet. I thought Kulu had a good first half and then was a bit ineffective in the second half, so I wasn't surprised to see him come off.
What did you make of the Romero incident, screaming at Harry Maguire after the own goal?
I sort of quite like the passion from Spurs. When do we ever... I don't agree with shouting in the face of an opponent. However, I do sort of like the fact that there was a little bit of passion from somebody. I would have preferred it channeled in a different way. Maybe go and shout at your own player rather than in the face of an opponent. It's not very sporting.
Not very sporting? Oh, jeez, it's just such a lack of class, honestly. So...
But at least there was a little bit of passion from him. I think if you're invested in Spurs, it's a non-panic for me. I don't think anyone is hugely surprised that Manchester United took 3 points against us at Old Trafford.
Well, you ain't selling ahead of the fixtures, right? Because not only do you have a game,
but I also think you would continue to invest.
Well, it's Newcastle at home in 31, which is a tricky-looking fixture the way that Newcastle are playing. We'll talk about them in a minute. Then it's Aston Villa away, which again on paper is difficult because anyone getting to Villa Park at the moment is a tricky game. Brighton in 33, who actually are better away from home than they are at home, and then Brentford away. So it's, look... But
going forward, I think they're all games you could invest for.
You could, and I think you're going to hold your Spurs assets for those games. But actually, when you delve into those fixtures one by one and look at how those teams are playing, might not be quite as straightforward. And that's why I look at those fixtures and I go, all right, well, I've got Kane. How many of those games would I actually captain him? Well, I guess I've got to compare to Mo, really.
Well, you're going to captain him next week, surely.
Well, probably. At home to West Ham, probably. Yes, I would think I probably would do that. Liverpool have got Watford in 31, so the world's going to captain Mo Salah. Then it's the Man City game, where Spurs have actually got Aston Villa away. So could that be an opportunity to captain somebody else? Liverpool then away at Villa, Spurs home Brighton. So that maybe in that home Brighton game, maybe then I captain him. But actually not sure that I trust Spurs massively at the minute because of exactly what you just said. You're kind of up and down. 1 week a good result. The next week, not quite so good. But
you wouldn't sell him, would you?
No, I don't think so. Unless I really needed the money for something else. No, I don't think so. The question I would have is, if I was a Son owner, how would I feel about selling Son now? Or would you keep ahead of this run of fixtures? You're going to keep ahead of 30, right? But what about coming out of that?
Well, I'm in a wild card as soon as the game week 30 deadline passes. And I don't think Son will stay in my wild card team. I think he'll become Kane as part of the wild card. Okay. Just because I think if I was going to invest in the Spurs midfield, I'd rather have Kulu, just simply because it frees up 4 million.
Okay.
That's a lot.
So you've changed your tune on that a little bit, because last Thursday you were talking about don't sell Son for Kane
you were not
and get
going
Kulu.
To. But you're not going to sell Son. At that moment on Thursday, there's no... And would I, going into game week 30, would I just sell Son for Kane? No. But on a wild card, will I?
You'd make the change.
Yes, because it's a waste of a transfer for me. It's such a sideways move, and Son could have and should have returned points in this game again. So I think it's just one of those. I wouldn't do it as part of a free transfer because it doesn't feel worth it. But on a wild card, when you're 100% changing the rest of your team, you'd do it then.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's talk about another team that does play next game week. So Aston Villa, we touched on them briefly, so let's not go too crazy, but... I guess if Digne is fit, you keep, right? You're not going to sell him because he's got the fixture. Ramsey you're going to hold on to as well.
Yes.
I've bought in Coutinho and I've bought in Cash. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic for you and I coming into game week 30, is that we're both on 2 Villa players, but we're both on 2 different Villa players. So that'd be interesting for the Lee versus Sam battle. How are you feeling about having Jacob Ramsey and Digne now, though?
Well, Jacob Ramsey, by looking at the stats from today, was fantastic.
Yeah, he did have a good game. 3 bonus points, yeah.
And was their best player. When you
by a mile, actually, when you look at the BPS system, yeah.
Yeah, but also when you just look at like SofaScore and places like that, other sports facilities are available. His underlying stats were so good today.
Second overall in the game week amongst midfielders, actually. Thomas Partey with the goal and the assist in that Arsenal game with the 40 BPS. Jacob Ramsey then second overall for BPS this game week amongst all midfielders with 38. So yeah, did all right. Very, very good game.
The trouble I have with him is, again, there's a lack of consistency, but then that's Villa generally. There's a lack of consistency across that whole team in the way that they play sometimes. I think I am very pleased to own Ramsey for this week. Luca Dean, well, look, we're just going to have to see, aren't we? Because if he isn't fit, then that is a massive issue going into game week 30, because that takes me back down to only having one fit playing defender for the weekend, which is pretty much a disaster.
Okay. All right. What about any other Aston Villa assets? If you're a Coutinho owner, how do you feel? No points today, but listen.
That's a question for you, not for me.
Well, yeah, listen, one of those days today. I've got to watch the highlights on Match of the Day tonight because, again, this was another 2:00 game where...
they were all on at 2:00 today.
Well, it was a bit frustrating, wasn't it? Because obviously the Chelsea game was on, which we watched because it was on TV, but none of the others were on, were they? The 2:00 kickoffs, and then we went straight from Chelsea into Arsenal. So a lot of the games we haven't seen a lot of is reality. So I need to watch Match of the Day tonight to see how Coutinho looked. But yeah, listen, no worries. Aston Villa, they seem to be coming up with this kind of home and away thing right now, where home they look great, but away they're just a little bit inconsistent, aren't they, right now? It's the home comfort of Villa Park right now.
How are they next week?
Well, let's have a look. The next fixtures for... Oh, no, that's not right. Oh, that's not right.
It's all gone.
It was going so well with the technology, wasn't it? Here we go. Let's see, Aston Villa at home to Arsenal, of course. That's the fixture. Then they're away at Wolves in a Black Country derby. Spurs, Liverpool, and then Leicester. So it's a tricky looking run for Villa. So to be doubly invested in Coutinho and Cash, I'm going to want to see something, I think, certainly from Arsenal or the Wolves game, Because then going into Spurs, Liverpool at home, I know they're home games then for Villa, and they've tended to look better there, but I'm going to want to see something in the next couple of weeks if I'm going to keep cash in particular.
Yeah, which is why Jacob Ramsey, for me, feels like he'd probably be pretty much a season holder.
Yeah.
Because he's super, super cheap and he's benchable when he gets a double-digit haul.
Yeah, all right. Any other teams that we want to discuss? How many teams that played this weekend that don't play in game week 30 that we need to keep our eye on? I do try a quick word on Chelsea. Now, Chelsea don't have the fixture in game week 30, but actually it looks pretty good from 31. So anybody that's free hitting in 30, don't need to really pay too much attention to this, but from game week 31 onwards, the fixtures look pretty good. So what did you see in that Chelsea game today that makes you think they're investable? Or I'd like your opinion on Newcastle, because Newcastle I thought deserved something out of this game.
I thought Newcastle were really unlucky actually today, and I thought that they were unlucky before the game even started with the amount of illness they had today.
Yes.
Missing key players. They played really well, and for the majority of the game they neutralised Chelsea quite well. I thought they dealt with I thought they dealt with their attacking threat well. I thought they had a number of good opportunities where they could have scored in that game.
Was it a penalty? The one in the second half?
Oh, I mean, I thought it was a penalty.
100%.
And we watched it today.
100%.
We watched it today with my dad and my brother, and even my dad was going, that was a penalty.
Die-hard Chelsea fans are like,
that was a penalty.
Yeah.
And actually, the way they celebrated the goal at the end, they definitely felt they got out of jail today.
Was it a red card for Havertz first half on Dan Burn?
I mean, it could have been.
I thought it was, to be honest.
I mean, but then having said that, Dubravka's lucky that Werner's offside, because otherwise he's going as well. Because,
true enough, maybe. Yeah,
there was a lot of moments in that game.
Yes.
I thought Newcastle played well, and they deserved a draw, at least a draw from that game. From a Chelsea perspective, I sold Rudiger this week for Doherty, because I needed a player for next week, and because I had no value invested in Rudiger, and because I thought actually Newcastle might score, and because I'm wildcarding the week after next.
Yeah.
And I still think I'd rather have Reece James. So I kind of thought, well, if I sell Rudiger now, get in a player that's going to play for the next couple of weeks, when I hit the wildcard button, I'll have more news on Reece James and his availability and whether he's fit and available to come back again. And then if he is, he'll come back in that place. I didn't expect Chelsea to keep a clean sheet today. And I thought if they did, Rudiger was unlikely to get more than 6. So that was why I did that. Really need Cancelo to play now, because that's going to be difficult without Livramento.
So if you're a Havertz owner, for example, what are you doing? Are you selling him so you can get somebody to play for 30, or are you just accepting he's a player that you're going to want from 31? And by the way, Havertz owners, I have to say, you're probably lucky to get those points today. It could easily have been a red card. That could easily have been a 0-pointer or even a -1 there for Havertz with that elbow on Dan Burn. And here we are, he pops up with the goal in the 88th minute or whenever it was. And by the way, very well taken goal. Beautiful.
It was a great goal. It was a really great goal.
And he just so happened to be up against Dan Burn at the time. Yeah. So, there's the irony of the situation. But easily could have been sent off in the first half. But as it was, popped up, great goal. Would you sell him to get somebody that plays in 30? Would you hold?
That's a tough one, because you're not... Right, okay, so here's the way I see this, I think. You're not going to have a lot of value tied up in these Chelsea players, because the reality is most people have only just bought them in.
Yes.
Because of their involvement in the Club World Cup and the FA Cup and the League Cup final and everything else they've been involved in. You're unlikely to have loads of value invested in your Chelsea players, which probably means they're sellable because you can easily get them back again the week after, which was why I did the Rudiger rather than Cancelo, because Cancelo's much more difficult for me to get back. I lose a lot of value in him. So I think it's doable to lose him, but it depends on who else you've got in your team, doesn't it? If you've only really got Trent and Salah that you're really definitely, I want to keep these moving forward, then you can afford to bench Havertz. And I really don't think that it is essential to have 11 for next week.
Yeah, but the biggest compliment I think you can give Havertz is that, and by the way, he was in the top 5 for shots across this game week, with what looks like he had about 3 to 4 shots this game week. So he's right up there with the Ronaldos and Salahs and Manes. He's in that sort of conversation. And I think one of the biggest compliments you can give him is that they're not really missing Lukaku, are they? They're putting Havertz up there and he's doing the business. He's really playing quite well indeed. So Havertz, for me, it would be a hold. I think he's a hold because I think he's really, really on fire at the minute and he's on form. I don't think I would be selling him because actually, if anything, I'll be looking to move on Havertz, I think, in 31, potentially. But let's see. Not too much more chat about Chelsea because they don't play next week, nor Liverpool, but I do want to give my team a shout out because, again, a game which I thought was going to be a bit lethargic for Liverpool, a little bit tricky, going away on a Saturday lunchtime, travelling from Liverpool to Brighton is a long way to go, particularly when we played Champions League football earlier that week. But a professional performance from Liverpool, and in particular, the goal from Luis Diaz was such a great assist from Matip, really brave header. It is... I honestly can't tell you how Robert Sanchez has not been red carded there. It's about 4 red cards.
I wish he was, because he wouldn't have been able to play against Spurs in midweek then.
Absolutely unbelievable. Just such a terrible, terrible challenge to literally take him out was shocking. But nevertheless, just a quick word from you on who, and again, this is a question we've asked a lot this season, who the best third Liverpool asset is if that's the way you're going. I bought Robbo in on my wild card, and now don't get me wrong, I'm pretty happy with that because he and Trent pulled out at 6 each, so I'm happy.
But do you wish you'd gone Luis Diaz?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. But I look across my midfield and I think, well, where would I have found a space for him? Because I'm pretty happy with the rest of my midfield. Whereas I looked at the back and I thought, okay, well, Robbo could be, I could Cancelo to Robbo, I could find a space for him. But I am starting to wonder whether Luis Diaz looks like the one to have as your third Liverpool asset. I mean, talk about hit the ground running. He's such a threat, isn't he? Such a threat.
Yeah, it's why Spurs wanted to sign him. I think Luis Diaz is the one.
Yeah, he looks great to me. He looks great. And Salah, again, obviously gets the 9 points. If you captained him, well done. We've got to wait and see whether he's going to be available for the Arsenal game as the second game in this game week. Said he felt a bit of pain in his foot. Felt as if Klopp was taking him off on a precautionary.
He walked off. He weren't limping.
He says that he's okay as well. Salah himself has said that he seems okay. The fact he went straight down the tunnel, maybe not so great.
Maybe he needed the loo.
But nevertheless, from a Salah perspective, that is now no goal in open play for some time. Now he's racking open that he's getting the points. He's got the 2 goals, the 2 penalties against Leeds. He's got the penalty against Brighton, and in FPL. Doesn't matter whether it's a penalty or not, you're still going to get the points for a goal.
Yeah.
So, but again, no goal from open play. Is that a concern for you, or is it just forget it?
I don't care where they come from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If he puts them in the back of the net, I couldn't care whether they come off of his bum, off of his foot, from the penalty spot, from a corner, from a worldie from the halfway line.
Yeah, as Josh is saying, Diaz is a baller. So good. So good. He's really good. And Miena Sidhom, thank you for the comment, Miena. Do you think Diaz will play over Jota in midweek? That's an interesting question because I think those two they're gonna battle it out for that spot over on the left hand side. Now,
do you think they should just drop Mane?
No, because of what Mane gives you in terms of work rate and pressing and everything. He's off the ball game. Mane is still pretty amazing.
I'd play Jota with Luis Diaz and Salah.
Yeah, although if Salah isn't fit,
don't say it
for the Arsenal game.
I need him to be fit.
Well,
it's Arsenal game.
Well, if
he's fit and available, if he's got any chance of playing, he's risking Salah, I think.
Yeah. It is a huge game. There's no doubt when you look at the rest of the games Liverpool have got. Arsenal away is one of the more difficult ones. So if Salah is in any way fit, he will play.
You can't lose it.
However, I will just say, Liverpool do have options now.
Not Salah.
Mane can play there. Jota can play.
No, Mane cannot replace Salah.
All right, no problem. I'm just saying he can play in that position. So I'm not saying he can replace him. I know, but I'm just saying he can play there. He can play there.
Just can't.
All right, let's go to our teams then, Sam.
So let's
talk about where I'm at. So I played my wild card this week, and this is how it's shaken out, which is I think pretty good. So 61 right now. Obviously wild cards are no hits, etc. 164k, up a little bit from last week where I'd slipped about to 180 or something. So up to 164k from last week. I think that's a picture that I've taken there from the FPL app. I don't think it's got Ramsdale's bonus points included there. No, in fact, he's on the 7, whereas I think he's going to get 8 or 9.
He's getting 9.
He's going to get 9. Okay, so it's probably a couple of points still to be added to this, hopefully. But still got my 3 Liverpool still to play. Still got my 3 Arsenal to play, my 3 Spurs to play, and I've got Gordon still to play. So
Gordon.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a punt, wasn't it?
But it made sense.
It was just a fun punt. I was looking at it thinking, well, Everton have got to get something out of these games, and the fact they haven't out of the first one, and now, in my opinion, they play the harder of the 2 games, which is Newcastle. He's banging trouble, Frank. He's banging trouble, and some of their fixtures, I know they've got games in hand down there, but some of the fixtures they've got left to play this season, they're in big trouble, Everton. Big trouble. I'm not sure where the games are going to come from. And I saw a stat on Sky Sports just as I was coming onto the live stream that looked at the last 20 games. The last 20 games that the bottom 6 have all played. And if you just took it in that context, they were rock bottom Everton with 9 points.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So a couple of you in the chat saying, actually, Ramsdale got 3 bonus points going to be on 10.
Did he get 10?
Nice.
That's even nicer.
So listen, I've got nearly a whole team still to play again, with Coutinho the only one that's got the points. However, as I mentioned before, I tried to play the wildcard with game week 30 in mind, and I now have a couple of problems in both Saka and Hwang. I've got to keep an eye on how bad or not those injuries are. And Nouri didn't play. He didn't play, which is a bit of a nightmare, to be honest with you. So I was hoping that he was going to come straight in for next week. So potential problems there. Potential problems to keep an eye on. But couple of differentials coming in. Kulusevski with the assist was good. But it's the penalties that have saved me. Because Lacazette getting the penalty was great. Kane getting the penalty was great. Salah getting the penalty, okay, 9 points is not to be sniffed at. But given that I didn't have him captain, it actually hurt my rank. The fact that he got that penalty. And then my defenders, except for Doherty, doing pretty well. So 61 feels okay as a sort of halfway point for the wild card, and we've got to see obviously how the rest of it pans out. Couple of issues now to deal with ahead of 30, but overall I'm feeling reasonably happy. With 61. Let's talk about your team. You are down to 210k, so a couple of tricky weeks for your team, Sam. Talk us through it.
Well, Livramento didn't play, which means Cancelo, if no longer ill, is going to come on, which will be fine if he plays. Otherwise, it's another week of just annoying things like Luca Dean getting injured. Annoying. Son slipping over every 2 minutes. Annoying. Rafinha with an assist was nice. Obviously, I bought Doherty in mostly for not the game we've just had, the one coming on Wednesday, and then obviously for 30. It was fine, but I mean, it's pretty much average. It's pretty much an average week but it's just a frustrating one. The front 2, bro, you're getting dropped and then coming on and then getting injured. Kind of just the couple of weeks I've had. But we need to wait and see. I don't feel too negative about it. I think it is what it is. There's enough players in there still to come that as long as they play will be fine. If Son can do something against Brighton in midweek, then that will massively help.
Yeah.
And then obviously I hope for some good news on Luca Dean and on Saka, ready for next week. And then it's wildcard time. So
cool.
And I feel like, yes, I could have wildcarded when you did it last week.
Yeah.
But I looked at my team and was like, do you know, I don't hate the differentials this week. I quite like the games that they have. You know, the players like Rafinha, who you were looking to get rid of. I was like, I quite like you, plus you play next week. And
sure, yeah.
So I think for me, it was a case of maybe, I mean, it could have been stubbornness, I suppose, wanting to stick to my plan. But I had a plan and I felt like it was worth just getting there.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, and now I've got a few weeks of wildcard time, obviously with, international and stuff to kind of really think carefully about what I want my team to look like. So as soon as Friday night's deadline passes, wildcard active.
Straight on it.
And then let's just play around with it and see where we get to between now and game week 31, ready for, and hopefully, I'm hoping, Premier League, if you're listening, would be really lovely to have some fixture announcements, because that's what I've been waiting for, because I want to be able to use my wildcards to really focus in on the double game weeks that come and have a strategy in place for having the maximum amount of double game weeks over the next few weeks.
Very good. Very good. All right, so there's the team. Bit of a recovery required, but the chips will be in play for you, Sam, over the next couple of weeks. So I'm absolutely sure that is 100%
wildcard and bench
recoverable.
boost, and obviously the free hit left.
So loads of chips still in hand. Let's answer a couple of Patreon questions, Sam. So
yes, we've remembered.
If you're not a Patreon supporter of FPL Family yet, then head over to patreon.com/FPL Family. Loads of goodies over there, loads of extra content, including our Slack community where we take some questions here on the live chat, on the live stream, where we specifically answer our Patreon questions. You get bonus podcasts every week as well. There's monthly competitions. What else do we get? One-to-one calls with us as well if you want to talk about your team specifically. So
I've had
loads
some
of
lovely
good
ones
content.
of them, by the way, lately.
Some really good ones. Yeah, really good Zoom calls with a few of you guys that are looking to play chips and do wild cards and stuff recently. So
it's been really
thank
lovely.
you to all the guys that have joined us for a one-to-one Zoom over the last couple of weeks. Really great to meet you all. But loads of good stuff over on patreon.com/FPL Family if you want to go and support us over there. And as we said, one of the benefits is you get to have your questions answered on the live stream here, Sam. So I'm going to pick out a couple of questions here. Rajesh, thank you, Rajesh, for the question. Who are the best 3 strikers from here till the end of the season? Difficult question to answer. I'm going to go, and I think you'll like the answer to this one. I think I would go with Harry as probably one of them, given that Spurs fixtures, and I think you've got maybe 1 or 2 games still to be rearranged. Or
the
have
North
I got that
London
wrong?
derby, which he loves.
Okay, so you've got 1 or 2 games in hand, if you want to use that phrase. And the ones that you've got scheduled to play still look pretty good. So Spurs running looks okay. So I think I would have Harry Kane as one of them. Where else would you go?
Tony. Would
you?
I would
okay.
go.
All right.
Spoiler alert for the wild card.
Right.
Spoiler alert for next week's transfer. I'm almost certain. In fact, I am going to go Tony. I know I am. I'm going to go Weghorst to Tony. That's going to be one of them.
Let's have a look at Brentford's fixtures then going forward, just to put that into some sort of context. So obviously it's Leicester in 30, but you're planning to bring him in 31.
No, I'm going to bring him in for 30.
For 30, okay.
Yeah.
So Leicester away looking like a reasonable game, given that Christian Eriksen we expect to cause some havoc from set pieces against Leicester and maybe Tony to profit. Chelsea away, obviously tricky game, but then West Ham, Watford, Spurs, it's mixed for Brentford going forward. So what is it about Tony that you particularly like?
Well, the thing is, I think he's cheap. He's benchable. You can play him in the games where they're in a moment. You can drop him for the games where you don't really fancy him. But I think the reality is we saw from Brentford early on in the season when they're playing in the system that they like, with the right goalkeeper at the back. And I know I sound stupid when I'm talking about a forward, but what Raya gives to them and the way that they play, it makes Tony so much better. Yeah. And when Raya wasn't there, he really did affect him. And then of course he's been out injured, so I don't think we've really seen the best of Tony for a while now. So I think he is one of the best options. He's nice and cheap. If you want to be able to afford Harry Kane and have the likes of Salah and maybe a City midfielder in there too, you've got to find some value up top, and I think for me he offers that value.
Okay, the one that I've got my eye on, and I don't know how well we're doing at answering this question, but here's just some ideas. Because, and by the way, I think the context that we need to put this in is that actually I don't think we're awash with options up front.
We aren't.
I mean, Harry Kane aside, I don't think we've got tons and tons of options. Lacazette potentially, but then he's got his first goal, since December today from the penalty spot. The one I've got my eye on, just because they're playing so well, I was interested to see how St Maximin got on when he come on for Newcastle against Chelsea today. Looked a little bit off the pace, but that's fine. He's coming back from injury, so I think it's to be expected. But actually, the Newcastle fixtures, I mean, you're not bringing him in for 30 because they don't have one, but then it's kind of Spurs, Wolves, Leicester, Norwich. There's a couple of games in there between now and the end of the season for Newcastle that look pretty good. And I just think Eddie Howe's done such a good job with Newcastle. Such a good job. And I do think that if he can get Chris Wood and St Maximin playing together, St Maximin is going to really benefit from Chris Wood. And I noticed actually, looking at the aerial duels stat, again on the Fantasy Football Scout members area, Chris Wood leads the way. And by the way, he's played Chelsea this week. Not exactly an easy fixture. But Chris Wood, easily the top for aerial duels this week with what looks like about 13, 14. Next best is Bednarek with 10 and then Samir from Watford with 9. So what does that mean? That means Chris Wood is going to be winning a lot of aerial duels in the future, getting the ball down and bringing in those players that are in and around him, like St Maximin, who's going to be feeding off of a lot of that work that Chris Wood is doing. I think it's going to benefit him. So watch this space on St Maximin. Bit of a punt. It's a bit of a punt, Rajesh, but I got my eye on it just to see how he gets on. I think
for me, with forwards, pick forwards playing for teams that have something to fight for at this point. Be it European football or even look at the bottom and the teams that have to start scoring goals. Like, I would have said Bamford, but he got injured again, it looks like. So just be wary of that. But, even like we were all hot on Dennis for a while on King, but Cucho Hernandez has actually looked really good the last couple of games. Now, it depends on the system you're playing, doesn't it? If you're going to play one up top the majority of the time because you're going to play, 5 in the middle, then why not go for just 2 cheap options and have the likes of Hernandez and Tony alongside Kane?
Okay.
Could work.
All right, Sam O'Sullivan, thanks for the question. I think we've already answered this. So how many players are the minimum needed to avoid the free hit in 30? I think
8.
I think the general consensus was sort of 8 or 9. I think, Sam, if you're down in the 6 or 7, then probably the free hit is the right thing to do. Question from Duncan Crawford. Thanks, Duncan, for the question. Should I have Son on my free hit? So free hit in 30. Not really done the business lately, but has been a bit unlucky according to Duncan. So Son on the free hit, yes or no?
Yeah, 3 Spurs attackers.
3 Spurs attackers.
Don't bother with the defence.
Okay.
It's West Ham, right? I wouldn't bother with the defence. It's a London derby. There'll be goals. I'd go Son, Kane, Kulu.
Right. Okay, Son, Kane and Kulu. Expecting Spurs to rack up a few points.
No, I just expect there will be goals because it's a derby and there always is.
It's Spurs at home. I mean, Spurs,
we're better at home.
Better at home. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, we are better at home.
No doubt about it. Let's see. Danny McDonald, thank you. Well, thank you, Danny, for the question. Is Sam looking forward to playing in the Jaffa Cakes again next season? I think probably. Yeah. I'm not going to look over and see whether you are or not.
No, I mean, I don't really understand the hatred for it. I don't mind it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd rather play Champions League football, but if it's a choice of playing in the Europa Conference and not playing in Europe at all, I'll happily play in the conference.
Question from Helen Bettersworth then. Thank you, Helen, for the question. If you've only got 1 free hit left,
yes,
is it better to use it now, despite the fairly uninspiring game week, and then manage the rest of the season with just a bench boost? If it means a few hits this week and a few after. I think the answer to the question, Helen, is depends how many you've got playing, doesn't it? I think it depends how many you've got lined up for game week 30. If you've been preparing for it, like I played the wild card last week to prepare for game week 30 and have, what I thought was going to be 10 players, but actually probably with Saka and Hwang it could actually be less than that. But nevertheless, I still think I can navigate it without it. So I don't know what the answer to the question is. Probably depends on how many you've got, Helen, to go, really. But both you and I are thinking it's better to hold it and attack a big double game week in the future rather than use it in fairly uninspiring game week 30.
Yeah. For me, there's not enough players with really, really great potential upside, and therefore I would want to hold the free hit for a week where you can really accelerate your team. And, game week 33, I think it's 33, could be a really interesting one because it will be blanks because of the FA Cup semis, but there'll also likely be doubles in there as well. So that's the kind of week for me where, if Man City and Liverpool are missing from that looks like a great week for a free hit because you can target the double game week players.
Yeah.
Whilst losing Salah, knowing you can get Salah back for when he's going to have a double game week in 36 probably. So I don't see enough value in playing my free hit now. And even if I only had 6 or 7 players, I still wouldn't play my free hit this week.
Okay, interesting. All right, and last question from Gaz Slinger. Thank you, Gaz, for the question. Lee, do you feel like you have the upper hand on Sam playing your second wildcard this game week, with Sam still keeping hers in the bank and playing a free hit in game week 30?
I'm not playing it in 30.
So first of all, don't think you are playing the free hit game week 30, no. Do I feel like I've got the upper hand? Well, at the minute, yes, because I've got the points in the bank, but it depends whether you value the points in the bank or whether you value the wild card in the bank. There's still a lot of game weeks to go, guys, right? But I'm just happy that I'm not behind for a change. It's just quite an unusual feeling, I have to say.
Oh, bless you.
And then the second question from Gaz is, what's your racing nap tip for the Cheltenham Festival? Do you understand that question?
I can ask me dad.
I don't know really what that means. Neither of us really follow the horses, do we?
My dad's off there though, isn't
well,
he?
My
brother's first part of my brother's stag do. They're going to the races.
Absolutely.
Before you all go off to Eastern Europe.
Yes.
But yeah, he and the old event members are going off to Cheltenham this week. I'll ask me dad. I'll put something in the Slack for you if you'd like.
Yeah. That's a good heads up, actually. There are a couple of weekends coming up where I'm not around, am I? Because I'm going on 2 stag do's in 3 weeks.
Tell them what day you're going on the stag do.
I'm going on a stag do on Mother's Day.
Guys.
Yeah, I know.
Do we think that that's acceptable?
I did not plan this stag do.
Do we think that Lee should buy me an extra big Mother's Day present?
Get out of it, will you?
Yeah, and take me out for dinner on that day when he gets back.
Yeah, so there are a couple of weekends coming up. We'll let you know when they are, when there won't be a live stream. Maybe you'll do a video or something, I don't know. Video? Maybe video?
Oh, so it's Mother's Day. You swan off and I have to do a video.
Channel. Yes, please. Yes, good. Yeah, can you do that? Excellent. Very
you
good.
are outrageous.
Very
I'll tell you what, this present better be very, very expensive and sparkly.
Whatever. Right, let's talk about our week, Sam, and what we've got going on. Any podcasts, any shows this week? You're on the FPL show again this week, aren't you? Back-to-back weeks.
And the podcast, because apparently I'm the only one that does in the FPL work.
Wow.
I've got to do videos and everything else. Yes, I am doing the podcast and the FPL show this week. It is a late night FPL show.
Is it another late one?
Yeah, I'm going to wake you up when I get home.
Who are you on with?
FPL Salah.
Hey, nice. Is that FPL Salah's FPL show debut?
No.
Is it?
No,
He's been on before?
Yeah, but he's not done a late night one.
Okay.
So...
Okay, good.
I have to give him some Red Bull or something. Yeah, so FPL Salah and I will be on the FPL show this week. I'll wake you up when I get home, just so that you know I'm in safely.
Okay, good.
And so you'll be able to catch me on the FPL show that night and the FPL pod that morning.
So you've got an early morning followed and a late night on next Thursday.
Yeah.
You could be knackered on Friday, aren't you?
And then a Q&A on Friday with Az.
I love it.
And I'm also doing another Scout the Game Week tomorrow night. So I am going to have a busy week.
Meanwhile, I don't think I'm doing anything, am I?
You're doing a lot of cooking dinner.
I've got a lot of cooking, looking after children, that sort of thing, yeah? Being the supportive husband that I am. There we go, guys.
Don't know about that. You're going back into London most days and leaving me to deal with both kids as well.
I am actually going back into London quite a bit more now that the offices and London and stuff is starting to be open again. It's great. And I can't wait, to be honest, for the next FPL meetup. I'm sure there's some meetups. And in actual fact, I'm seeing on Twitter...
We've actually got a bit of a problem.
What?
We ain't got a babysitter for Fest.
Have we not? What? When is Fest?
We've got to try and work that out in a minute.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. We've got to get to Fest. Anyway, so London is the UK is starting to open up again a bit wider, which is great. And I am certainly starting to work a bit more with my actual day job back in London a bit more, which I'm really, really enjoying.
Do you know what that does mean, though?
Go on.
You got plenty of opportunity to buy me a Mother's Day present when you're out in London.
What is all this buying? What is all this buying stuff?
Well,
I think I made a money.
It's Mother's Day.
What's going on?
It's Mother's Day.
Buy me this, buy me that.
It's Mother's Day.
Come on.
You're not even here.
Just because, Sam.
I've got to
you're
get
20
up,
points behind me.
I've got
Don't
to
have
get
to be
up
so
early
bitter.
on Mother's Day. Take our son to football. No lying. No breakfast in bed.
Yeah, well, as John L says, and thank you, John L, for this question in the live chat. He says, good job it's Abdul on the FPO show with Sam, because that means no flirting with Az.
I don't flirt with Az.
A lot of flirting with Az on the Q&A, I noticed.
Az is literally like my brother. I mean, it would literally be... When that message came in that we were flirting with each other, we both were like, we were on a Zoom at the time, and we were like, that is weird. Like, no thanks.
ZK saying you need to stand in for Mother's Day. There you go, get Az on. Get him on. Get him on the channel here, right here.
I mean, he doesn't actually live very far. Just get him in.
Get him on. There we go.
Come and sit in your place on the sofa.
Thank you very much for joining us here on the FPL Family YouTube channel. If you'd like to leave us a like, we'd love you to do that. There was over 700 of you in at one stage. So hit that like button before you go. And
bit more sun.
Leave us a subscribe, because even when we go to the holding page in a minute that says, thanks for joining, I think...
Oh, will he still appear then?
I think he might still appear. I think.
What, just a random sun will pop up?
Yeah, let's try it out. Guys, see you next week, Sunday, 8:30 p.m. for a usual FPL Family. Cheers, guys.
Bye, guys.